What makes a children's film timeless? I saw this movie almost 50 years ago and recently showed it to my daughter, and she had a similar reaction, I think. I hope. It's a really special film, and I can't wait to tell you about it right after this. The Red Balloon is a 1956 short film by director Albert Lamorisse. I saw this movie in a church basement, literally, when I was maybe 5 years old. Something about it just stays with you from the first time you see it as a child. It did with me. It won all sorts of awards when it came out, but it's lesser known today, and that's kind of a shame. It really is a special film. Seen at the right age, this movie can have a real positive effect on a child's sort of identity, sense of self, especially if your kid, and I think every kid at a certain point, feels like the odd one out at times. This film really urges resiliency in the face of that, even pride in a sense of individuality. And that's really powerful, I think, at that age. It was powerful enough in 1956 for this film to be lauded with all kinds of awards. It was powerful when I saw it in 1971. And now it's powerful once again, showing it to my daughter in 2019. As with many great films, the plot here is pretty simple. A young boy named Pascal finds a red balloon stuck on a lamppost on his way to school. He frees it and realizes that it's sort of alive. It follows him about. He starts to treat it as a pet, and then he starts to realize that it's more of an equal, and even at the end it sort of becomes this strange reflection or symbol for his own unique individuality. It's part of him. The boy takes it to school, gets in trouble right away with the principal, who chastises him for having this stark difference about him all of a sudden, takes the balloon away, even locks Pascal up for the day as punishment for being that different. Pascal takes the balloon to church. He gets kicked out of church with the balloon. You can start to see where this film has parallels with today. But the final blow comes from Pascal's contemporaries, the other boys around his age who act sort of as bullies here, finally stealing the balloon, separating them, and stamping it out very cruelly at the end. And then something really strange sort of happens at the end of this movie. The bullies are gone. Little Pascal is just sitting there grieving over his lost friend. And all the balloons in Paris start to whip away from their owners. They converge on little Pascal and they float him away, presumably to a happier place. You can speculate as to the symbolism of that. The emotional sense is that it ends on a happy, uplifting ending. And for your kid watching it, if they are a little too downbeat about the death of the red balloon, they very quickly have this positive experience tacked on at the end. Watching this movie at 5, I remember it so vividly. It was quite an experience and lesson in empathy. I'm not excusing bullying by any stretch of the imagination, but the film is sort of telling us in a way that empathy can be developed. Certainly Pascal gains a sense of empathy that he may not have had before by watching this balloon essentially sacrifice itself. I was much more likely as a young boy to be part of that crowd, to be part of those bullies, especially growing up in a Catholic school environment where you were very likely to be outcast for any sort of difference. But something clicked when I saw this movie as a 5-year-old, and it clicked forever. And that's what makes this film so special to me and to thousands of people who've seen it over the years. So the hope is that the bullies in this film and even in our lives have the potential to change and grow with the message of this film, because this movie is really seminal in a way that no other film I can name is. It has the power to change you, to transform you for the better, especially seen at the right age. As you watch the red balloon suffer and die on screen, it's really an amazing performance the director gets out of this inanimate object. This is pre-CG. It is not animated. There are no effects going on here. And yet you react to it in a way that usually would take a skilled actor to bring about. It's incredible. And seen at the right age, it's the reason this movie just sticks in your gut. This is where the movie gets really interesting for me. I had that odd sort of disconnect from the movie for a moment, seeing it as a 5-year-old, and I still remember that. And my daughter, Rabbi, just said it out loud, seeing it a few nights ago. She said, "Dad, why didn't the balloons come earlier and save the red balloon? Why are they coming now?" And the reason for that, I think, is not something I could ever make a 4-year-old appreciate. I'm having trouble putting it into words even now. For me, the reason why the balloons don't come and rescue the red balloon, that's not what they're there for. They can't do that. What they can do is memorialize. Just that sense of, hey, there is something after a traumatic event. Can be very, very comforting, I think. At that age especially, but at any age. That's part of the timelessness of this film. It's meant to be seen and absorbed as an experience as a youngster, and then appreciated as a little older viewer. Maybe after you've experienced some loss in your life, after you've experienced feeling outcast in your life. That's when the subliminal experience of watching this movie can come back to you. It's really a unique ending to a film like no other, and it packs a lot of emotional punch into its 34-minute runtime. And that's 34 minutes that may stay with you and your kids for a lifetime. The fast-forward score is pretty much 0. Your mileage may vary. I rode the fast-forward button during the parts of the film where the bullies appear and seem menacing the first time through the film, but I never used it, and Abby was just fine. Daddy's reason to watch: there are no actors or famous people in this movie that I can point to. It is an interesting window on 1950s Paris, if that's of interest to you. And I will point out, though, as a dad, if you can think about for a moment how hard it can be just to get your kid to smile for a picture sometimes or sit still. The little boy in this movie is not a trained actor, but director Albert Lamorisse's son. It really is pretty impressive when you think about it as a parent. So you may want to check it out just for that. That's The Red Balloon. I really can't say enough about this unique little film. It's streaming right now on Prime. We also bought the DVD there so we can have it forever. So check it out one way or the other. And check us out, if you will, on Twitter, Facebook, or other links. I'll put them down in the description. Please like this video if you would be so kind, and do subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help. I'm Tom. This is Daddy Daughter Movie Night, and we'll see you soon.